Hey,
Okay, good morning.
good morning, man.
Let me just make sure we are live on Twitter at least. Yep, we are live.
Oh, I'm out of the frame.
So welcome on this time it's kind of usual office hours because it's a third office hour in row. It's Tuesday, 13th of October, with special guests, and you can see that dogs and cats love each other because they don't fight. So we're here because of the Hacktoberfest. Joining these live streams in case you have some questions to the issues that we prepared for the Hacktoberfest. You can also join us here live if you want. Just let us know in the chat. We're gonna send you a link. So we're gonna wait a few minutes before I present an update on Hacktoberfest and how we're doing.
Yeah, anyway, I will be here like 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll leave you here today if I can.
How about the call at 6? Would you join?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. I'll let me check the calendar, but I think so. Yeah, definitely. Hey. Again, come on, stop it. This is funny. We can do this more often. Just appearing live with our pets here. Why not? Fuck.
I have no choice. She just comes over whenever she wants.
Same here. I can close the door, but yeah, I love them being here around.
I don't have office yet, so unless I go to the toilet, I can close myself there.
That
But
can be another. That can be another live video. That will be too much for a single live video. Okay, so you retweeted. Let me retweet.
oh yeah, let me also retweet stream. So I changed the settings in Twitch, so this time it should save there.
No comments yet. That's cool. I'll have to wait after this. After in 5 minutes or so, I'll have to wait for a long time, and I'll be bored because I'll go to the doctor. So I'll be bored there waiting in the at the doctor. So I'll be watching the live stream from my phone.
There's gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's gonna be better than just waiting there for sure. And on top of that, I couldn't have breakfast today, so it's my Monday today. It's Monday for me. Yeah, I couldn't have not even a single coffee or anything. Nothing.
what was the holiday that you had yesterday? Because in my calendar it was shown as Hispanic Day. Was
Yeah,
it Independence Day or?
not independence. Actually, the opposite. It's the day where supposedly Christopher Columbus, and I'm not sure if it's where. It's not that day. It's when we conquered or started the conquer of. Uh, I prefer to say where Spain invaded uh, America, basically.
Because it was Columbus Day yesterday as well in States.
Yeah, so then it's the same day. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Okay.
So yeah, um, that's why. And so it's Hispanic Day because yeah. So most of the invasion was done by Spanish people, right? So, English too, French too, but to the north, and not the whole north, just what today is like west, east, half east United States and Canada. Right? I mean the English and the French. It's easy to know if you look at language. The Portuguese as well in Brazil. Yeah. So yeah.
So there's not much to
Yesterday.
celebrate.
Yeah.
So there's not much to celebrate knowing the history.
Not for me, but here people celebrate. Also, it's Saint Pilar. Pilar is a name in Spain. It's a very common name. Actually, is the name of Eva's mom. So my mother-in-law. So so yeah, we have to celebrate that it's Saint. I don't know how will you say this in English. Pilar. I don't think it exists. Translation or something. I don't know. It's a name. Pilar.
Very
It's
interesting.
also means pillar. Like pillar.
Mhm.
It also means that in Spanish. So sounds and means that. And yeah, so not much to celebrate from my side, but yeah.
But at least you have a day off.
Still bank holiday. You have to take holidays, of course. Which also someday I have to investigate where the term bank holiday is coming from because yeah, I don't like it. Maybe it's public holiday is the same thing, maybe. I don't know. I don't like to mention banks for holidays.
You don't like banks? They give money. They're
Yeah,
cool.
they give money. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They give money. Sure. Sure.
So with this good beginning, let's start.
Yeah, let's not start. Let's not enter this weird area.
So we are here again. Let me remind you, we already have 4 viewers. So we're here because of Hacktoberfest. I've just pasted a link in the chat to a blog post where we explain why we joined the Hacktoberfest and how we did it. And this live stream is mainly for Hacktoberfest participants, but not only. So last time during last stream, most of the questions were about Async API and the spec, and I answered them. So it's not that I said, no, you cannot ask those questions. So yeah, you can ask those questions as well. It's just 1 hour with us for you. So among all the different things that you can find in the blog post, we have an Excel sheet, Google Sheet actually, that we maintain, where we maintain all the list of all the issues with the information about the difficulty level to solve a specific issue. So for your information, we have 13th of October, which is still not even half of the month. And out from 78 issues, 36 are already merged. So PRs were created, reviewed, fixed, and merged. So almost half of the issues is already solved, which looks good.
That's a big accomplishment, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
But there are still many issues, so you can have a look. I will also send a link to this sheet. Oh, so the Twitter users did not get the link because it was filtered out by the tool that is Periscope. It's a company that was doing streaming and was acquired by Twitter to support streaming on Twitter. And they filtered out the link, so you just have to go to YouTube maybe or Twitch if you need it, or just go to the blog post. And in the blog post you can.
Link to my comment.
Oh yeah, cool.
I'll reply.
Thank you.
No worries. I'll do it manually for now.
So whoever is watching, just drop some comments so we know we're not really alone with our pets.
Yeah. But I'm gonna leave you alone. So yeah, gotta go now.
Okay.
And just want to say that, I mean, thanks, man, for the great job you do, and thanks everyone contributing. Like this is really cool. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. It's such a good thing, this Hacktoberfest celebration, let's say, and I'm loving it so far. Even though there was this noise um, about if it's full of spam and all this stuff. Like Lucas said, I mean it's yeah, there's some spam sometimes, but I mean there was some spam in the beginning, but I don't think we got any further spam, right? Only
No,
this
there were
initial
just two PRs.
Yeah. So yeah. So nothing to complain, to be honest. Like the good things really outdo the spam ones, right? Like by far. So yeah, so good stuff. Thanks, man.
Cheers, mate.
See you soon. Have fun. Bye. Bye,
Bye.
Dan.
Hi, Dan. Bye, Dan.
Hey, Dan. Bye, Dan.
And 1 second from me, I need to let my dog out because she's gonna
Okay.
pee at my place.
Bye, bye.
Nice. Fran left and all the viewers left. You gotta know who's the star in the project. You have still 45 minutes to ask me any question. Okay, so if there are no questions so far, I'll do it the same way I was doing it last time. So I'll just jump to usual work. And from time to time, I'm going to check the chat if there are any questions. Because I don't have an office yet, I mean like office at my home office, which means I don't have a place for extra monitors. I'm going to open the stream on my mobile. Yeah, to see if, like on real time, if there are any questions. Wait. Okay. Let me write test. Okay, test message showed up, which means it's good. So like last time I was working on I was telling you about the template for templates that I was working on. So let me share my screen. Oh, whoa. How was it? If you're interested, you may be interested. So we're at the moment streaming to three different platforms. It is Twitter, it's Twitch, and YouTube, and we're doing it using a software called a SaaS product called StreamYard.com. I mean StreamYard, and you can go to the website StreamYard.com, and they offer like streaming to multiple platforms. You have to subscribe, of course, and pay, but it's like, I don't think it's expensive seeing what we can achieve with it. So it's very good. Comparing when we were doing Async API conference and we had to use some different tools for it, StreamYard looks pretty cool because you can also add your banners, your overlays. But yeah, we're using StreamYard. And StreamYard, the only like crappy, not cool thing about StreamYard is that you can only share entire screen. I cannot, like, I'm on Mac on Firefox, and I cannot share screen to for example, share only the Visual Studio Code. And that's what happens when I start sharing like this infinite loop. Okay, I can see now that you can see the Visual Studio Code, and let me, of course, make it bigger. Okay, so the template I'm working on here, its goal is to make it much easier to write your own docs or code generators for Async API. So I'm always doing this introduction because I'm not sure who's watching the live stream. So that's probably boring for someone who watched the live stream on Thursday. But yeah, let me quickly explain. So Async API is a file, right? Machine readable file, and you can do because it's machine readable, you can consume it in whatever way you want. And to make it much easier to consume such document and produce something out from the document, we have a project called Generator. And the Generator, it's a tool that gives you a lot of features, a rendering engine that makes it makes it possible for you to define templates, so files with some fields, parts of the file that behave as a template, and Generator injects in these places, in these templates, a given value from the async API document. So looking, for example, on my example template, let's see this. So it's a index HTML file. So it's let's make it bigger maybe, because on mobile it doesn't look. Okay, now when I made it larger, it looks good on mobile. So so a template, it's like, for example, if you want to produce HTML file, so it's like index HTML file, but as you can see, it's not fully valid HTML file because it has some strange values in between mustache and percentage, or just double mustache. So it's a syntax that is powered by the Nunjucks template engine that we use in the Generator. So basically, Generator, what it does, you provide Generator the template. Generator knows where to find the template files, because they're always in the default location in a given template, in the template folder. And for example, it takes channels. You can define that it's going to take channels, subscribe channels, and do something with them, like render something specific, some additional part. In this case, it's, for example, a list channels is a macro. Actually, in this case, it's a partial. Let me show it to you. Oh, it's of course macro. So macro, it's like a function, because you can pass custom parameters into it. So it's like a function, but it's a function that returns here, as you can see, whatever you define. So in this case, it's some additional HTML. So the generator, what it does, it notices that you want to inject some content, pass 2 parameters to it, so all the channels, and you specify that you just want to have a publish channels with publish operation, and you should list channels. And the list channels, again, this part is going to be rendered in the index HTML file, but it's going to list all the channels, and it's going to iterate over all of them and create a list of all the channels. So that's one basic stuff of the generator, like the templating engine. So you define what is going to be generated, but generator has additional features, like custom features, like, for example, hooks. And hooks are pretty cool because they are fired at different stage of the generation, like before generation, after generation. So for example, the hook can do something like what this hook is doing. So it's generating additional format of the file. So you can, by default, generate index HTML, but with this hook, you can specify that it should also generate additional formats like SVG or PNG or PDF. And it's this operation. It's a custom additional operation that runs on a hook on event generate after. So after generation, before generator is done, it also fires all the hooks, for example. But yeah, it's pretty large topic, so I don't want to get you bored too much with it. Unless you want, then just let me know in comments. So this project, it's a showcase. So we can see after README that there's a lot of it in the table of contents. So the table of contents basically describes every part of the of this project of this repository. So it describes all the features that you can use within generator, and then points to the example how it's being used in this template. And also, idea behind this template is that you can. It's a let me show it to you. So far, I'm still working on it on my private GitHub, but it's because I want to first finish it and then create it as a PR in the official Async API organization. Okay, so as you can see, it's marked as template, which means that you can use this template when you create your new repository. And in GitHub, when you create a new repository, you can say, okay, create this new repository using a template. And you can point to this repo, and then GitHub will by default create a new repo with all those files in it. And then you just have to follow the instructions to modify given parts of the repo, of course, to make it work for you. Okay, let me take a look on the stream. Let me stop sharing for a second. So we have 2 viewers. Would you like to say who you are? Write who you are? Or one of them is Fran at the doctor. Okay, no one wants to reveal his identity. So let me go back to sharing. Okay, so the status of this template, it's almost done. It's almost done. So the only thing that is missing is the a README, because the current README is of course a README for the template to explain you different parts of the template. But we also need a template for the README, so we know how to document your generator template, how and where to put information, how they can customize the template, how they can run the template, etc., etc. Okay. The second part is the interactive tutorial. So what's cool about this template? It features all the features. So it's like a one place where you can find everything and good examples. and you can generate a real thing out of this template. So you can just take it and then modify and play with it a bit when you're onboarding on the technology. So it's pretty cool. But it can be also super overwhelming. As you could see, the TOC, it's pretty huge because like generator, it has a lot of features that you can use. So the thinking here is that it would be nice to have a interactive tutorial where you could learn all those things that are mentioned here in the README step by step. So one step of the tutorial would be, okay, create a simple template with just the basics that you need to have. Then the second step would be like add this and that to learn feature number 1. Next step would be feature number 2, and then etc. the same way. So you would like really step by step complete some steps, finish them, and that's how you would learn. Other option is also recording, but there's not much but. The problem with recording is that it's much more difficult to update. And with tutorials, it's much easier to update whenever there's a change. So I don't think video is an option here, and not always many people like videos. And interactive tutorials, what I mean by interactive tutorials, let me show it to you. I'm not sure if you noticed that we have such an interactive tutorial already. So it's okay. So it's still marked as alpha because, as you can see, to use it, you have to go to katakoda.com because we're using it for free now. But we're in contact with O'Reilly, and because we're open source project, we're gonna get some discount to use them. We just need to, find a missing budget still to cover some costs. But once we have it, we will be able to create such a interactive tutorials. What it means is that basically, okay, you can put some text explaining what the tutorial is about, then start it, and then, as you can see, it's really interactive. So first of all, you have some instructions on the left. You can even have a pretty simple code editor on the top right, and top bottom, you can have a terminal, which is pretty nifty to have a terminal where you can put some commands. And the cool stuff also about the instructions is that you can, when you read them and you have some stuff in it that you have to execute, when we create them, we can add actions to those. So for example, first thing you need to do in this tutorial, you need to create an async API IAM file. And there's an example of the file. So you just click on copy to editor, and it's gonna be done. So it's much quicker than you doing it on your own. And then you just read, follow, and that's pretty much it. The first step is just an explanation of some fields. And then you can have another step. So when I was talking about template for templates, such a tutorial would be like, every step would be explanation of a single feature. So you would like build this template for templates from scratch here in the tutorial. And then, of course, you can trigger commands, etc. But to start using this like fully, those tutorials, we first need to really subscribe for it and pay, because now you can. It's not cool for you to go to a separate platform and sign up there because that's required to use the tutorial. And we would like to have those tutorials embedded inside the website, the Async API website, like you have it with Kubernetes documentation, for example, and Katacoda tutorials for Kubernetes. Okay, so I'm not gonna go through the tutorial. You can do it on your own. I think you get an idea how it works. So that's a static Streetlights tutorial, and this one is the same, but interactive. And that's the plan with the with this tutorial. But I'm still thinking like does it make sense to work on it now? If at the end we're thinking about changing the template engine that we have in the generator. So some of the features will not change, like hooks, but the template engine, the nunjucks, we would like to not long-term replace it, but it's really long-term. But we would like to add another render engine, which would be a React for many different reasons. You can ask in chat and I can explain why. But yeah, so this thing is questionable. And next one would be circular refs. That's easy. But yeah, I still need to add it to the template. So let me make, again, a short break. Let's go to this back to the stream. How you doing, people? Have you done live streams before, like I'm doing it now? Because it's super strange. I mean, it's my third, but it's my second alone, and it's pretty weird. Speaking loud to kind of at the end, it sounds like you're speaking to yourself. But if you would put some comments, I would not feel that strange anymore. So any questions from your side? Is there anyone here because of Hacktoberfest? If yes, then let me know anonymously if you want, or actually you can't do it anonymously, I guess. But yeah, just write what issue is interesting for you from the list of the Hacktoberfest issues. I can go through it and explain. Or just write in the comments that you just want me to go through any like random issue because you don't know which one to choose, so I can choose the easy one or moderate one. I can explain what has to be done. Okay, so let me do it on my own. I'm gonna show you the easiest ones. share screen. Okay, you should see a screen in a second. Well, it's pretty fast. Okay, so that's a Excel sheet I mentioned at the beginning of the stream where we maintain all the issues for the Hacktoberfest. And we have different level of difficulty for those issues. So we have easy ones, but also demanding, and one hard. And still 2 trivial left. But yeah, the ones that are here visible the most, is it even in English? Not sure if it was correct English, but yeah, let me explain those CI/CD because these are interesting. They look like it looks like we have like 20 issues about CI/CD, different issues, but at the end they are not different. 98% of them are the same. But the thing is that we have them for every single repo separately. First of all, because in each repo you need one PR. And okay, that's first and the last reason why we duplicated them. And also the duplication had to be done because we're using GitHub Actions, and GitHub Actions still, I don't know why, but it's still really, the problem is, and I guess it's not just GitHub Actions, it's with any CI, I guess. The thing is that we have many workflows, CI workflows that are exactly the same for every repo, but you still have to repeat them in every repo, which is not the coolest solution, I guess you can imagine. So for example, we have a workflow where we by default want to accept dependent bots PRs and merge them. And you have to have such a workflow defined in every repo separately. So there's it's a lot of work. But for a Hacktoberfest participant, that's a pretty easy issue to handle. Because first of all, it's pretty easy. You don't need any special onboarding. It's easy to complete. And if you're not experienced with GitHub, you still never did any suggestion in the repo on your own, but you still want to do something that will be helpful for an open source project, that's pretty cool issue to handle. So let's just open the first one from the list. So there are 4 steps that need to be done with such an issue. So first of all, you need to create a new file called sentiment analysis in the workflows, and basically replace, put the content in this file exactly the same that is under this gist. We also need you to remove a funding YAML. Not every repo has it, but this one has. And you could ask a question like, why would you like to remove funding? Like, are you like not interested with funding anymore? Of course not, we're still interested. We still need your support. But the thing is that something good about GitHub is that it introduced a special repo, like global repo that you can have on an organization, and files like files called that are understood as a community health files. If you have them here, but you don't have them in your repo, then those files will be used as a replacement or as a default. I guess that's a good word. So for example, if I'm gonna remove funding YAML from here, because I have funding YAML in .github, and I remove this, I will still have this sponsor button here. So nothing will change. And you can imagine the good stuff about this is that if we have just one global file, then if we make changes to this one global file, like for example, few months ago, we added GitHub because we got accepted for GitHub sponsors. And yeah, you can imagine if I would have funding YAML file in 30 repos, I would have to make this change in line 3 in 30 repos, 30 different PRs. Pretty crazy. So that's why we would like to have one file, because in the future, I still have on my list that I would like to try out Issue Hunt to add some issues that we could pay for if they are solved from the money that are donated to the community. But so yeah, you can imagine that I would prefer to modify just this file instead of duplicating the change in 30 different files. So that's the second thing you have to do in this issue, just remove a file if it exists. Then in an existing file, you just have to change in line 4 pull request to pull request target and make 2 tiny changes in auto merge YAML file, extend lines where we check what actors submitted APR. So it's pretty easy. Thanks, Aaron. Finally, someone. So that's, let me start sharing again. So these are all the CI/CD issues. The only exception from what I just showed you is the moderate one, but that one is already handled by Jürgen, that volunteered to solve it. He's pretty close to solve it, and it's gonna be very good change if he's gonna do it. So because we want to tweet, we want to use GitHub Actions to tweet whenever we have a new release in our libraries, but we agreed with community that we will not spam community with patch releases, so only major and minor. So there was a need to do some investigation how we can do it. To first figure out that it's a patch, so we should not trigger a Twitter function, Twitter action. The other issues, there are some docs, but for one, I know that Barbara volunteered. She will work on it. Oh yeah, and that one is the issue, the docs demanding one, that is about creating the template README for generator templates. And yeah, some JavaScript. And that's it. Those JavaScripts are pretty cool for the ones for Parser, because if you would, you're interested more in Async API, you'd like to learn spec more. From my experience, I can tell you that when I joined Async API in February, the most knowledge about the spec I got when I was working on issues for the parser. Because parser is for the spec, you need to know how to parse given information from the file. And to know it, you have to read the spec. So I had to read the spec pretty much a lot. Yeah. Ten minutes left. Any questions from your side? Would you like to learn something in those 10 minutes? I can explain anything that I know. Any questions? There's this. I could jump to the templates to work on the circular references, but it's just 10 minutes. So I'm not going to be able to do much. Okay, but if there are no questions, let me do it. Let me jump to the template. Okay. So as I said, the README, I'm still gonna wait with the template for the README to see if someone from Hacktoberfest would like to take it over. And here I offer a full support to explain, of course, how and what have to be done. The interactive tutorials, I talked about them already. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of thinking that needs to be done. And show usage of parser helpers for circular refs. So, what does it mean? The cool thing about parser, and of course, it's not cool because I created those features. Not, of course, not. But some time ago, I added a few cool features to the parser. So because in the parser, you can imagine that like we have to read document, like everything that is in the document, which means in the parser, we also have to handle circular references. And handling them, like handling circular references in general, it's not so easy, especially if you're working also with JSON schema. You have different fields there. It's pretty complex, and you just have to educate a lot to support circular references as much as possible. And because we're handling those already in the parser, we need to know where to break, when to break, and don't go further to not kill the parser when going through circular references. Whenever we find out that we got into circular reference, we are adding additional special parameters to the document. So we, for example, on the top of the document, in the root of the document, we add such a property as xparser circular. And when you're working with the parser, you parse document, and you, for example, use function has circular. It's gonna tell you if this document in general contains circular references or not. And it's particularly useful when you're building tooling. So if you're at some early stage of building the tool, and this early stage is not a moment where you would like to think about support for circular references, then what you do, you basically check in your template if a document that someone provides inside your tool has circular references, and then you can just drop a proper error message saying like, at the moment, template does not support circular references, for example. and link to a issue in the backlog that will have it. Now we also have information in schemas for a given object information if it has if it is circular. So we can see the example. You get a list of you get all the components, then recursive self schema, properties, and you check the property, and you can check with function is circular if it's circular or not. And the cool stuff is also that if, of course, in case of objects, if, for example, self-children is an object, you don't only check if it's circular, you can also check, you can also list all the properties that this object has that are circular. So it's pretty handy to use it in templates. I use these features in the Markdown and HTML templates, and to support circular references there. And it was really not a lot of work to do, not a lot of magic. And you can imagine templates like doing all these things in templates and doing it in every template one by one. That would be not really efficient to solve circular references issue everywhere. So with those features in place, you can see there were not many things that I had to change in the template to support them. So I was just checking if it's circular, what are the properties, and then I knew if the property that I'm handling in the template is in the list of the properties that are circular, so I could just break it properly. And yeah, supporting circular references directly in the template would require a lot of changes in the template itself. So that's it, those circular references. That's the stuff that I need to show in my templates for templates, how it works. Because in the template for templates, how the template for templates works, I have some output already. So the template for templates, let me show you what it generates. So it generates a diagram, dependency diagram of different schemas. So you can see, excuse me, to generate such a diagram, I have to go through like everything that I have in the document. And this means that I can encounter a circular reference. So I have here some functions that let me traverse all the schemas, go recursively through every element. And now it does not check for circular references. And I don't want it to explicitly support circular references. I will I will simply make a use of those functions that I get in the parser to easily detect where I have a circular reference in a given place, and I can stop it. But yeah, that's something we're gonna have to do next time when there will be no questions. So it's 11. Does anyone have any questions before I finish and do the summary? No? You sure? So the next things. So today at 4 p.m. UTC, which is 6 p.m. for me, which is 6 p.m. CET, Central Europe time. We'll have our public meeting, which is a bit different than the stream, because in the stream I'm alone talking to myself, hoping you're listening. And the public meeting is about really having a discussion, almost face to face, but of course on Zoom. Anyone can join. I'm gonna send you a link. I'm gonna send you a link to a issue where we work on the agenda, and you can get a link to Zoom. So you can join live, talk to us live about the Async API initiative. It's Tuesday today. The next stream for Hacktoberfest, it's Thursday, and it's also in the afternoon for so it's much more friendly for people in Europe or Africa that like to stay late, or for Americas. It's going to be again, like with the meeting we have, the public meeting we have today. So it's 4 p.m. UTC. So I encourage you to join both meetings. In case you have any further questions, or you would like to, you prefer to discuss things in more in private, you can the best would be, I think, to join our Slack. Let me share you the link. So feel free also to join Slack. Catch me there directly. If you prefer to stay almost fully anonymous and just talk to me about some issues, I can then fully explain the issue to you, or on the stream on Thursday, but fully again anonymously. So if you prefer this way, it's not a problem. Okay, so it's 5 past. Thanks a lot for joining, to all of you. Hope that's useful for you, and see you today on our public meeting. Cheers.